Hey guys, welcome back to 9180. So, what happened yesterday is very typical to how my life normally goes, which is not according to plan. I don't know if you saw, but yesterday I sat down and I talked with you at great length about the total upfront costs associated with buying a house. And just before I was able to tally up those totals, my phone died. And I was devastated, and I even cried a little bit because I knew I did not have time to charge my phone and go over the whole 20-minute discussion all over again because I had to get out to my Nana's house to pick up some peach cobblers. So I ultimately decided to go ahead and upload the video anyway. There's a lot of good information in there, and honestly, it took up too much of my life to not upload the video. But I did want to go ahead and show you the total upfront costs that we ended up coming up with between the first house that we bought and the Little House of Horrors. And as you can see, there is a significant difference. In fact, $7,800 worth of difference in costs. And depending on your own unique situation, you might expect to pay more than this one or even less than this one. For example, let's say your loan type does not require a home inspection and you feel confident that the house does not need an inspection. Before I go any further, I should tell you that our first home was only 5 years old and the inspector found something funky with one of the electrical outlets, which then the seller agreed to have fixed. So it's never a bad idea to have an inspection, even on a newer house. But let's say you decide to take that risk and you don't have an inspection done. You can eliminate that cost. Also, maybe appliances are not a factor for you. Maybe you already own your own appliances and you use them in your rental, or maybe the house you're buying is having all of the appliances included in the sale. You can eliminate that cost as well. But you should still expect to pay at least $1,000 in total upfront costs. And I don't tell you this to scare you. I tell you this so that you can be an educated buyer, so that you can be aware. Knowledge is power. But let's say you don't want to deal with any of that. Let's say you don't want to deal with earnest money, an inspection, closing costs, or a closing at all, but you still want to own the house that you live in. Well, I feel compelled to let you know that there is another viable option, and that is to go tiny. Now, whether you decide on a adorable tiny house on wheels, or if you opt to do what we did and get a camper, the financing is going to be the same. Any house on wheels is considered an RV, so you're going to go with an RV loan. And an RV loan is very similar to a car loan, and in fact, your payment will probably be similar to a car loan as well, depending on the price of the tiny house that you choose. Now, I should let you know that the tiny life is not for everyone. I personally know a few couples who made the decision to leave their house and go tiny and almost immediately regretted that decision. You really have to make yourself mentally prepared for that lifestyle change. You should not decide to go tiny because you enjoy watching the TV shows or because you think it's cute. There should be a real reason behind why you make such a drastic lifestyle change, or else you're gonna fail in your tiny life, I promise. One of the main reasons why we chose to go tiny was because we have a future financial goal, and this was a financial decision that's going to help us meet our goal. And we're wanting to build our house. In fact, every financial decision we make, including the flip house, has to do with preparing ourselves to build our house. But the other reason why the tiny life has really worked for me is because it really reflects my values. I believe that you only need what you need. And in fact, I talked a little bit about it in video 2, but even when we build our house is not going to be tiny, but I'm still going to carry that tiny mentality with me. We have designed each room of our future home to only be as large as it needs to be to serve its purpose. You only need what you need. But if that is not your values, then you should not go tiny. I promise you, you will regret it. Now, our decision to go tiny was never a permanent decision, but for some people, it really works for them. Randy and I are not the only couple in my family who are tiny housers. There are 2 other couples, and they have been living tiny much longer than we have, and they really enjoy it. And for them, it is a permanent decision that they have made. My grandma Charlotte and my grandpa Sherman, they are permanently parked on my cousin Derek's property, and they love it. And my Aunt Teresa and my Uncle Matt, they are permanent tiny housers, and their goal is once they retire, they're going to travel the country in their tiny home. So it doesn't work for everyone, but it definitely works really well for some people. And in our temporary situation, it has worked out pretty well, even though Randy is starting to get a little bit restless. But anyway, once again, I have strayed completely off course, and I apologize for that. But I hope you learned something, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Bye-bye.